time when we're not sure we're live, where we're just going to fuddle around. Hi, Mike. How are you?
Hello. Good. Thanks for having me again. It
That's
was fun
okay.
to chat.
Let's just wait until I can see we're live, so I haven't mucked up the technology. Cannot yet. Thanks, everyone, for letting me know we're not live. According to... There you are. We're live. I can see myself, which is always horrible. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. This is Mike McAlister and me, Jamie. Hi, Mike.
Hello.
So we've got 45 minutes of fun block theme action for you. Mike, do you want to tell us who you are, what you do, and a bit of background of what we're going to see?
Yes, sir. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Mike McAlister. I am a lot of things, but I've been in WordPress for a long time, about 15 years, created different things in the space. Had a WordPress theme business for a while called Array, and I built the Atomic Blocks plugin. And now with my partner, Patrick Posner, we have the Ollie block theme and Ollie Pro pattern library that is built for the modern era of WordPress. All these new tools that you're hearing about, the site editor, the block editor, patterns, and block styles, all that good stuff. And so, we're just here today to kind of chat about that, show off what we've built over the course of the last year, and show you some cool stuff.
Great stuff. Thanks, Mike. If you have any questions for Mike at any time, pop them in the comments, please, in the live chat. That'd be great. Hey, Max, good to see you. And look, I can show your comments as well.
Nice.
There we go. This is a lot more pressure-free than doing a speed build, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I can attest.
Speed builds are starting, by the way, back in September. So if you want to apply for that, do that. I'll be coming back in September. We've got some really exciting stuff. Anyway, back to Ollie Pro. I'm a huge fan of Ollie, and Mike's going to show us a demo of some of the cool stuff that he's built. But we're going to start with, you've had a good launch, right, Mike, since you started. So share some of that stuff with us, how it's gone. When did you launch Ollie Pro? And maybe tell us what Ollie Pro is and what Ollie is.
Yeah. Sure. So there's the Ollie block theme, and folks who don't know what block themes are, they're the new kind of WordPress theme that are built entirely with content blocks. So that means your whole site's basically editable within the new WordPress site editor. So live customization, all that stuff, change all the colors, text, typography, all that easily. So we have that, the Ollie block theme out there, and we have, a few thousand people using that. And so over the course of the past year, my partner Patrick and I have sort of dove into the world of block themes and figured out how to make this into a premium product. And the place that we landed was focusing on WordPress patterns, which we think are going to be a huge part of the WordPress era going forward in terms of being able to design and build and customize very quickly. Patterns are like pre-designed components that you can easily drop into your page, customize the text colors. They could be a full page, they could be a tiny text snippet, they could be, whatever the theme author decides. So Ollie Pro is an entire pattern library with hundreds of patterns that all click right into the Ollie block theme and just look great out of the box. And so you get hundreds of patterns and several different styles that you can combine together and get all kinds of different machinations of page layouts and website designs and all that stuff. And we've built that all into a familiar looking pattern library that kind of looks like the WordPress core pattern library, but with some supercharged features to it. So that's Ollie Pro in a nutshell. It's basically a premium add-on to Ollie that also just seamlessly fits into the new WordPress experience.
Great stuff. Right, let's dive into a demo. So we want to crack on and show you some of the stuff. I should say as well, Brian, goodness me, Mike is an amazing designer. And so this is one of the reasons I love Ollie so much, because it just puts a pro designer at your fingertips that you can just build out these sites really quickly. So we're going to show you some stuff. Let me just rearrange my windows here. Oh, I've lost your screen, Mike.
Oh, let me reshare. Start again here. Share screen.
If you can hit like on this video, that'd be fantastic as well, because it helps share it around the internet. That'd be great. And if you do have any questions, please post them in the live chat, and we'll ask Mike as we go along. If you have any more general block theme questions, let's answer those at the end. But we'll just stick for now with kind of core Ollie. Right, Mike, over to you.
Cool. Yeah, if there's any questions that pop up, I can't see that screen, so just yell them at me. I'll answer them live.
Okay, I should say as well, we could do without questions like that
Sure.
from Brian Cords. So yeah, you can
I don't
absolutely.
even want to know what he said. Just
He
keep it to
said,
yourself, Brian.
can I use it with WP Bakery? I think probably, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
You can.
sure. Why not?
It's
Do whatever
encouraged.
you want. All right.
Sorry, Matt.
No, all good. Let's crack on. So yeah, also I'm using a very wide screen here, so apologies if that's hard to see. But yeah, this is the base Ollie theme here we're looking at. This is if you you can download this on wp.org for free. This is the free Ollie theme, and this is some of the patterns that come with it. So it's kind of just like a nice, clean, standard, businessy, professional looking website. Okay, so let's hop into the dashboard here. And first I will hop over here into Appearance Ollie. So part of the Ollie experience and the Ollie Pro experience is that we understand that people are still learning this stuff. There's a lot to learn with full site editing, block themes, there's a lot to learn. And so part of our experience is not just giving you these tools, but we're showing you how to use them. We're kind of giving you a different workflow, or showing you a workflow that you could start with. And that starts here with the Ollie Pro dashboard. So this is just as you can see, it looks like the site editor in WordPress. And we've built several different resources in here. So you can see here up at the top, this is just a place to log into your Ollie Pro account, which I'm already logged in. And we show you some different information there. And then really it's just about resources from here. So we like to make videos and show people how to do that. And you can, watch videos here and learn about all the new features, not just in Ollie, but these WordPress features like patterns, building with patterns. How do we do it? How do we make them? How do we customize them? We've made videos for all that stuff.
So what's your kind of experience of, because block themes at the moment they have a learning curve. What's your experience to support as you rolled out Ollie and also Ollie Pro?
Yep, that's a good question. So I did, I just wrote a post about our first 30 days. You can see that on the Ollie blog. And in that, I do kind of go over, all the refunds that we received for it, which is not that many, but the ones that we did were around WordPress. We're like, I can't figure this out, or I'm not ready to figure this out. Yeah. And this is like something we anticipated. We know people are interested in using it though, because every time somebody mentions a refund, they're like, I really love what you're building with Ollie. I think this is the future. I'm just not ready yet. Or I'm waiting for whatever WordPress feature they're waiting for. Responsive controls, better navigation. Those two come up all the time. And rightfully so. We understand that navigation is a very tough thing. I was just struggling with it myself this morning. Yeah. So we get that. And
is that, sorry to interrupt, it's like navigate. If you had we're going to list like the top 3 reasons why people are struggling with themes, is like navigation number 1, or what's your experience on that?
I would say, just in a general sense, the essence of why people struggle with navigation is the same reason they struggle with other things. There are things that are, as I put it in my blog post, it's both overcomplicated and oversimplified at the same time. And that creates a kind of a discrepancy in people's brains. It's hard to latch onto some of these things. You've seen the kind of template editing can be confusing to know when you're in a template or when you're editing page content.
Yeah.
So the kind of overall bundling of this thing, and how there's still an old UI, the old dashboard, and this new site editor UI, and it's just a lot of stuff like that. It's a lot of those things. But the people who do spend the time with it and they pick it up, I think that's where we're going. People see like, okay, I can see where this is going. I'm going to learn this because I think this is the future. I don't want to, there was a bunch of people who told us, we're so tired of jumping from page builder to page builder. So we want this to work. We do want to be able to just rely on WordPress, but we're waiting for it to get there. And, 3-5 years, they're waiting, they're hoping that some of this stuff, gets better and better. And it really is in a large sense getting better. But those little things you can't deny, they're frustrating. And if you're building a lot of websites for clients, it's like, I can't afford to sit and, fiddle with this thing for hours when I know a tool that does work for it. So I think we'll get there.
Yeah. And your financials are looking all right in terms of the launch, right? You tweeted out that you've done like, 10K so far, I think.
Yeah, we're over 10K now, which was surprising to us considering we still think this is pretty early days.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of people we don't even know. I know a lot of people in WordPress, and your friends buy your stuff. These are all just people who want this thing to work, and they are excited about it, and they do see the immediate value in it. And so that was a surprise to us, and that gives us a lot of information to work with,
Yeah.
different personas to tighten up and dial in the product. So yeah, it's been a good launch.
So final question before we dive into the demo. Do you have a sense of who these people are that are buying it at the moment? Are they agencies, or are they DIYers, or are they businesses?
Yeah, it's funny. It really is. It's kind of the worst case scenario you want for a product in a way, and that it's a little bit of everyone.
Okay.
Because you want to be able to dial in, who your hero customer is. But one of the first things that we had to change after launch was the pricing structure, because we had agencies reaching out and saying like, yeah, the 10 site minimum or maximum on the highest plan doesn't work. We want to be able to build like hundreds of sites. And so we were like, oh, wow, we did not anticipate agencies being folks who want to do it. But sure enough, and that plan is taking off. A bunch of people are buying the agency plan. A bunch of people still buy the creator plan, which is just one site. And then we have people buying the one in the middle. So, over time, we only made these changes a few weeks ago. We'll have to see over time. As support comes in, support is information. You gather, information about who you're working with. But it is kind of a lot of people, a lot of different personas. So that's encouraging at the same time. It's great to see different personas latching onto this, even if it's not quite where everyone wants it to be yet.
Yeah. Right. Let's dive in. Let's have a look. Show some stuff.
All right. Yeah. So I'll just speed through this because there's a whole video on this stuff. But this is the Ollie Pro dashboard.
Yeah.
Kind of the highlight feature here is this theme setup wizard. I don't want to spend a bunch of time here either, because this was built for the free Ollie theme way back when we were trying to get it on .org. This is going to be reworked around our pro experience. We have all these designs to work with now. And so we're going to do some more intelligent stuff with this and really make it powerful. So, but anyway.
I love this, by the way. I think this is like, you might be blasé about it, but I think it's super cool.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Yeah, so this is just a way of quickly pulling out common settings that you're using to set up every site, your color palette, your brand, your logo, creating a few sample pages to, again, just saving you time. You don't want to have to go in there and click these every time.
Yeah.
Setting your homepage, things like that. So these core things will still be in it, but we'll kind of have a few more steps to really take it to the next level.
Like what? What are you thinking?
So, which I'll show you in a minute, but one of the cool features about Ollie Pro is that we organize all these patterns into collections, and collections are just sets of patterns that are all designed with the same aesthetic, so the same colors, typography, and everything else, and that effectively almost makes them like individual WordPress themes. And so, imagine being able in one of these steps where you're creating, before you create pages, to select a collection. And then within that collection, you can choose, homepage. This is my blog. I wanted the services page. And so you click finish and publish that. And then it looks exactly like the whole collection. And then you can continue building your site with patterns from that collection. So again, just kind of leaning on the design collection that we have. And then, giving you like a huge head start. That's basically what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, cool. Right. Are you going to show us this, or is this already set up in this demo?
This one's already set up, so I won't run through that. But this would effectively give you this full site. If you went through that setup wizard, you'd get this full site.
And this does things like, sorry, Mike, this does things like set the homepage and all that sort of takes all that complexity away from the onboarding process.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Okay, so let's actually look at what Ollie Pro is. Ollie Pro adds a block to your site, and that block enables a pattern library. So I'm going to hop into the editor, and I'm going to go into this new pages interface, which I'm still getting used to.
Yeah.
Slide in panels left and right, and okay. So anyway. All right, so this is a just a blank page here, and I have a full width template applied that removes the title. So we can use this page to build just entirely with patterns. So I'm going to use the shortcut. You can see here, Ollie pattern library. And we'll come back to this maybe later, but I'm going to go ahead and open the pattern library. Now, you're looking at this here, you might think, wow, this looks familiar. Well, that's because it is kind of familiar. If you go and look at the patterns, the core pattern interface looks kind of like this. Looks very similar, right? And we wanted it to be like that. We didn't want to create a new experience that you had to learn and kind of create another WordPress product that feels like it's bolted onto WordPress and just does its own thing. No, we wanted to follow design patterns from WordPress so that this feels like WordPress, right? Makes sense. So all of this is built with WordPress core components. That gives us that look and feel, and it's less of a dependency for us for development. It's easier for us to maintain over time. So all that said, this is the interface. So it looks similar, but there's a few important changes. So you can see here we have categories over here on the left, just like the WordPress one, but we have these pattern collections. We'll come back to those in a second, but these are an important part of it. And then this top bar is also pretty powerful. So we give you the option to be able to have a few different views, 2, 3, 4 columns. This makes it easier when you're scrolling tons of patterns. It's kind of easier to browse. I like the 3 column. We give you some filtering. So you can filter down. We have a favorites feature that lets you favorite any pattern. And you could take those patterns with you from site to site. But if I click that, you can see I'm just filtering and looking at just my favorites. And sorting, if you want to sort, if you're looking for something particular, you want to see them in a certain way. If you want to see the latest.
Go ahead. Again. Yeah, so when you say you can take them from site to site, that means what? Explain that.
Yeah, so your Ollie Pro account, it sits at the top level. And when you activate your Ollie Pro account on any site, it knows, it basically pings the cloud library and pulls your favorites in. So your favorites are attached to your Ollie Pro account, not to your site. So that means that, if you're building with a pattern often, or you like a certain set of pages that you like to start with, you can favorite those and take them with you from site to site. Just pulls them in.
Very cool.
This kind of, not to get too far into this, but this kind of leans into one of the features we'll be working on later this year, and that being able to create your own patterns and push them up to the cloud.
Yeah.
So that's, we've seen that in other places in WordPress, but that's kind of leaning into the Ollie Pro account being your kind of top level source of truth.
Okay.
Right. Yep. Sorting and then bulk editing. So, that's another cool thing. Say you're kind of, looking at these sections here is like, okay, I want to build some things with this. I don't like that one or this. Then you can just go ahead and bulk edit. You can add those to your theme, which means it downloads them to your actual theme. If that's helpful, if you're trying to build your own theme or you want to duplicate them and modify them, or you can just simply insert them into the page quickly and add to favorites, all that stuff. So
if you downloaded those to your theme and then you exported that using the Create Block Theme plugin, they would be in there somehow, would they?
Yeah. Yep. So again, that's cool if you're trying to maybe build something out for a client. You're downloading them, customizing them, and then shipping them off or putting them in version control for a project or whatever. And there's some patterns like, when I'm building, often it's like, I don't actually need these in the theme. I just need them on the page right now. So we're giving you both options there.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
So that's that. And then each collection, which I'll click into here, you can see, I'm going to go ahead and click into the startup collection.
So can you just sort of go back a level and just talk me through the rationale of those 3, like Creator, Startup, and Studio, and how you arrived at those?
Yeah, so I wanted to create 3 different collections to start with to give people kind of 3 different niches or avenues of common sites they might be building. So Creator is more about, if I click into Creator, you can see it's a lot about paid newsletters or digital products. And, if I click into here, you can see a live preview of this digital product page with reviews and all of that cool stuff, and just kind of pre-designed niches effectively. And same thing with startup. This is more of like a SaaS or a professional software business, kind of more sleek and professional. And then studio is more of like a fun, creative studio, something where the typography is a little more fun and bold and gives you, something more playful, but also just really nicely designed. So these are just 3 pattern collections to start with.
Yeah.
You can imagine how you could go crazy with this, not only with these patterns, but with the style variations you include in the theme. And the style variations is what changes the look and feel of all of these patterns. So each one of these has its own style variation, and that changes the look and feel, typography, colors, spacing. So no, you can really go crazy and create all kinds of stuff. I tried to keep it pretty tame with these first collections, just to kind of give people things they could practically use to build
Yeah.
out pages instead of like really abstract stuff that you might use only occasionally. So,
And so this is part of your plan, I guess, going forward in terms of building out these collections for certain niches and
yep.
forward, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's some of the feedback we've already gotten was like, yeah, more patterns, but also just more styles, because you can mix and match. You can use the studio collection and apply the startup styles to it.
Yeah.
Or, imagine I create 10 more styles with bold and colorful things. All of that can be applied to any collection. And so you get like a really crazy mix of options to build out pretty quickly.
And actually, somebody asked a WooCommerce question. I think you mentioned before that you haven't focused on WooCommerce. Is that in your plans, or why have you avoided that to start with?
You know, I had a theme business before, Array Themes, and
Yeah.
we had a few WooCommerce themes, and I just found at the time you just end up becoming kind of a WooCommerce support team. You're following the development, even though you're not entirely invested in it. You have to follow it to be able to, account for features and answer support questions. And even though those questions should go to WooCommerce, they come to you, and then they want to integrate XYZ plugin, WooCommerce plugin in, and then you have to kind of style for that. And I just think for us, I don't really want to get bogged down in that, at least too early, and have to become a WooCommerce shop. The people who are making WooCommerce themes, those are great because they are focused entirely on that. And because we're a small team, it's like, I don't want to split resources on WooCommerce right now. And there's probably much better options out there. Instead of us kind of taking our stab at it, I just want to stay focused on helping people create beautiful websites quickly. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't use WooCommerce with this. You can create all kinds of great layouts and just replace things. You can imagine, here's a episode archive. You could turn this into a product grid, change it, and do that. But the kind of in-depth customization would be up to you right now. So
yeah, okay, makes sense.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of high level, but I'll hop back into this single view here because this is really cool, and we get a lot of nice feedback on this. Not only is this just a live view, but you can preview it on different devices. You can see the mobile view. And again, this is just helping us like give you a better picture of what you're working with before you add it to the page. And you can also do, download here. You can insert, you can just copy the pattern blocks. I like to have this thing open in one tab and just go and copy blocks and paste them out through different things that I'm building, favorites, and then just more quick categorization there. So
cool.
But yeah, let's add something to a page here, and we'll see how it works once you add it, because there's a little trick to it here. Insert pattern. Oh, let's try that again. Okay. All right, so you can see here how quickly we're able to just spit out a pattern onto this page, and now it's fully customizable. We can change all the colors. We can go into global styles, all that stuff. But you'll notice that the style is not exactly like it was supposed to be. It's slightly off. And that's because, like I said, if we go out of here and go into styles, I'm in the site editor now and I'm looking at the styles. We have these different styles, and this is the new interface that was released with 6.6. And so what it does is, you click these things and you get different typography and colors that are based on those collections. So I added the startup pattern from startup, and you can see that's what that does. It gives us that font that we were looking for. And then I can go further and dive and change these color palettes, which again, we'll have more and we'll do more drastic color changes. But just to be able to come in here and give you something quick to start working with, I have an orange palette. I'll just start with this. I'll tweak it as needed. And then we get that. So, and then, yeah, you come in here and you just go to town. You start customizing your content. You change your images out. You change your text, hit publish, and go back to whatever you were doing.
And it's probably worth saying, just for clarity, that this is just all core blocks, right? There's no third-party blocks.
That's correct. There is one third-party block, and it is the icon block by Nick Diego, which I heavily suggest they implement into core as quickly as possible. Let's just get that. We can all agree that we need that icon block. And Nick, I'm sure, would love to see it in there too. If not, too bad. It's got to go. We have to have it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so there's so many ways of working with patterns. You can spit out a full page like this. You can come back in and again, you can start diving into categories. We have a cards category, which is really cool because that gives you, instead of full pages, you're looking at smaller bits of content. So these are good for things like columns. It's like, oh, here's a sample contact form. I could use that, or pricing tables, and all of it's fully responsive, ready to go. Click into the.
And do you have a sense of like how people are using this? Are they just using it out the box and staying with what you've built, or are they changing the styles a lot? Do you get to see the sites?
Yep, I've seen about a dozen sites with it. I've seen a little bit of both, but I would say people are coming in and using layout sections more probably, and then changing out the content, changing the colors, connecting their stuff. But I think what's been really cool, I was actually curious about that, and I was curious how they were going to use it, and because from my perspective, one of the biggest benefits of using this stuff is being able to lean on the designs we're giving you and not have to go in there and tweak it a ton, right? I mean, these, let's be honest, like these things are, they look nice, they look beautiful and simple and clean and neat, but they're not the easiest to create. To get them like super sharp like this on all devices, it took me a hell of a long time to build all these patterns out by hand, and make sure the typography all fits together and it's got a hierarchy and it all folds down nicely, using no responsive controls other than the fluid spacing and typography that we have. So I'm kind of the mind that like I created all these things so you don't have to. So the less you have to like tweak, the better. If you can just get your content on the page, which is most important, and get your call to actions and get your people going where they need to, I think that's the best use case for this stuff right now. And the same thing is true for client sites. It's like if you can build all this stuff in there, so they don't have to mess with the design too much, and then use things like the partially synced blocks so they can change the content. And I think it's a great use case for this stuff right now.
Yeah, we have a specific question from Larry. Ollie Theme was recently updated from 1.10 to 1.1.4. What type of changes were made? Thank you.
You'll have to check the changelog, which is on .org and on the GitHub page, because it's actually between 1.0 and 1.4. There was a bunch of stuff changed. One of the major things was all the style variations for the theme, for the Pro, are in the free theme, so you can use those in the free theme. So those are added, and then because Ollie was made like, I don't know, last year-ish and a little bit earlier, some of the stuff we did in Theme.json was either irrelevant or changed, so we updated a bunch of stuff there, modernized it, and made a bunch of performance enhancements. It's like way faster. It was already fast, but just
Yeah.
by like offloading some things and cleaning it out, it's just even faster. So, but yeah, check out the README in the theme itself. You can see it in the WordPress dashboard or on .org. So
Okay. Then we have a statement, which is also a question from me. So Tom, hi Tom, says no responsive control still, all in capital letters. So I mean that's true. My question was going to be how much harder does that make your job?
Well, as I wrote in that blog post that I published today, we've decided to build a product on native WordPress. That's it. We're not building out massively custom things. We are dedicating to building a product alongside WordPress and sort of banking on the fact that the technology that's there is good and that it's going to continue to get better. It's already capable of so much, and I feel like on the grand scheme of things, we're still highly underutilizing what is possible in this new era of WordPress. But I do also recognize that like things like that are table stakes in every other site builder. And as much as we want to espouse like the philosophy of intrinsic is everything or intrinsic can get you most of the way, that is good. But at the end of the day, people still come and they're looking for that granular control, because even when building these patterns, there were so many instances where I was like, oh, if I just could like nudge this thing a little bit in this one place here and there and there, I could get it perfect how I need it and how I feel like it could be. But we just don't have that yet. There are some conversations happening about it, but it's big. It's a big deal. And in terms of how long something that takes, the many conversations that will happen, the kind of philosophical debates about it, I don't know. I don't know if and when they'll come. But like I said at the beginning, I think we can battle this for as long as possible, or we can come up with a smart way of doing it that brings in more people and lets people feel like they're being heard and seen, and that we're actually competing in the space. Because again, we can look at it like, well, we have what we need with like intrinsic, but like from the outside perspective, it looks like we're losing, like we're not able to do it. It's too difficult, so we can't do it. Or WordPress is choosing a direction, and it's, if you want to build another kind of site, you need a different kind of tool.
Yeah.
And so, again, not that anyone is saying that, but that is how it feels from the outside, and that's kind of what I hear from people in support who are looking for refunds, because they're like, it can't do responsive stuff, and I need a tool that can. That's like verbatim what people are telling me. So, building a product in that space alongside that, it comes with that trouble of like, our success relies on the day-to-day success and feature set of WordPress. I do think long-term it will be a good gamble, because we don't have to build all this stuff out ourselves. But in the short term, we do have to come up with clever solutions for people, or more education to kind of help them get those designs how they want them without the tools. Or there might be an in-between where we have maybe a clever way of helping them achieve that. That's not full-blown responsive controls, which I do not want to build, in the same way I do not want to build custom navigations. That maybe we can do some clever things, but I think I just need to hear more people and what they want and what they're struggling with first to know how to solve that on our end anyway.
Yeah, and we were talking before we started the live stream about kind of, I mean, I've had some block plugins which I kind of built 6 months before block themes came out, in anticipation of a market that hasn't actually sort of grown that quickly. If you were going to like list the top 3 things that you would like to see from a purely product, like a block theme product point of view, I mean, responsive controls is probably one. What would else be on your list, kind of to take your 10,000 to 100,000 more quickly, I suppose?
I would say sorting out the discrepancies and things. The navigation is a tough thing for people. There are certain controls on certain things and not on others. Things like that are those kinds of things are just confusing for people, and it's like, I think that builds a lot of frustration. They're like, just why don't I have this here? And things like that. I think For the developers out there, I would love to see a more coherent and sort of inclusive workflow for them for building these things, because right now the best thing is to like kind of build the stuff in the editor, and then you're supposed to use this great block theme plugin, and that just seems kind of goofy, and people don't know about it. I have to share it with people often, and even that currently, as far as I know, is not exporting patterns with your theme. And then so you're just giving them part of the thing they built, and then like how do they get the patterns out? And so like I understand the developer frustration too, because I just built this thing out with Patrick. I know the frustrations firsthand, and it's a lot. It's a lot to manage, and it's not a fun process building this stuff out. So I get that. So I would a more coherent flow for them, and then responsive controls. I wrote a post on it like last year, kind of a more context driven thing where you're just changing responsive controls in these views, because I don't think we need responsive controls on everything all the time. We don't need to clutter the interface with that. And hopefully you can rely on the fluid aspect of these designs. As you see here, these don't have responsive controls, and I'm able to get a great amount of it done, and it looks great without it. But there's going to be those instances where it's like maybe on mobile, I click over here and then I'm adding just a quick mobile setting, and then I'm out of it. And I only have to write one mobile setting, and then the rest of it's just the fluid style. So I think that, and then the last thing would be, clearly patterns are a huge deal, and we're seeing a lot of awesome stuff with the partially synced stuff. But even that is feels incomplete. Like this is a great example here. So to create a box like this that you use the partially synced thing on, you can change this content and I think this button, but this is a third-party block.
Yeah.
And you can't replace that. So immediately I can't use that feature here unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, that's right. But I think that's part of the plan, isn't it?
I would think so. Which, if you make the icon block part of core, you don't even have that problem. It's built right in.
Yeah, well, let's start a campaign for that. We did actually have a really great specific question, which is this one. So, do we need to use a child theme for our customizations? Which is a common question I see around block themes as well. So, do you want to head that one off?
Yeah, it's it depends. It depends on what you're building, but I would say these days, if you're just building like a marketing site or something like that, you can use the Ollie base theme, which comes with all the styles and the templates, and then use patterns to build out pages. And those are now all saved to the database. So you can just publish it as is. And as always, use a backup solution to make sure that, because if you don't have a file, like themes used to have the files kind of built into them. Now they're in the database. So you don't have a backup of that. So use a backup plugin. Now, for example, like the Ollie WP site that I made, I did use a child theme because I wanted to use the base Ollie theme. And then I did want to add some custom templates to it and some custom styles. And I wanted to modify a few things in the theme JSON. So it's not a requirement by any means. It just depends on it's almost the same as the old WordPress. If you think there's things in the theme that you want to change that you don't want to get wiped out by an update, then you can use a child theme. You can use a functionality plugin if you want, if you're just changing some of that stuff. But it really depends on what you want to change in the theme. I don't think the block theme era negates child themes or anything like that. It just really depends on what you're building.
Okay. We've got some questions coming. Was there anything else I want to show before we're going to get into some of these questions quickly? But do you want to just show us the pricing? We haven't talked about pricing yet. Is that
sure
useful for people to see that?
So if you want to grab this thing, go to olliewp.com and go to the Pro page. And this whole thing is built with the block editor. So you can do fancy stuff. I built this thing out all in the editor and then added a few extra CSS things. These are just CSS to move these things real fancy. Same thing with homepage. This is actually what it looks like in the editor. And so just adding a little CSS to make it fancy. So We have 3 pricing options: creator, freelancer, agency. And the only difference is the amount of sites you can activate them on. That is the differentiator. So $69, you can activate it on 1 site for 1 year. Freelancer, 5 sites. And then the agency is an insane 500 websites. And I think we should probably have some kind of award for the person who exceeds this quota. We probably build them a skate park or something crazy. And then, yeah, everything comes back with a 14-day guarantee. So you can try it out. If it's not for you, totally fine. And we're finding there's a persona for each of these. So everyone's kind of picking what they want. And everything comes with the cloud library you just saw, the block theme support, the setup wizard, and any videos and other assets we do. The Slack community, that's another cool thing. Like, I put this out there not really understanding or knowing if people still use Slack, but people do. I get a lot of engagement in there, a lot of DMs about Ollie and stuff. So yeah, that's pricing.
Cool stuff. Right, let's get onto some questions. So Max, hi Max, good to see you. What are your thoughts on having 2 approaches to Gutenberg, a simple, more cohesive version, and a more technical, even file editing version called Gutenberg Advanced?
I've seen this question. I've seen this proposed a ton of times, and I get the desire for it. I just also think, part of me thinks, and I haven't. It's funny because many times I've seen this, I've not thought about it too deeply, but my instinct is to say, if you have 2 modes, we're almost not like. We're kind of missing the mark in a way. It's like we should pick what one we are optimizing for, and that should be the experience. And then we should be able to accommodate the secondary and tertiary uses for it. I think in part of me, I just can't even fathom them ever doing that. An advanced mode, a toggleable thing, it just doesn't seem practical from a development perspective to maintain that. But I get why. The thing that's unique about WordPress that is always does not get talked about when it gets compared to Squarespace, Webflow Framework, all that stuff, is that it is responsible for the block editor, which is just your regular old content editing, and site building. Yeah. And those, while also they're similar and they share a lot of things, they're also quite different.
Yeah.
So that alone makes it very difficult to make a unified interface for that. And I think that's what we're seeing a lot of stress on, is trying to optimize for both.
Yeah.
And then you end up with limitations on both ends. In one way, in the site editor, it's not advanced enough. In the block editor, it's too advanced.
Yeah.
In a way. So I see the idea of like having 2, and maybe that is solved by, well, I don't know, because the interfaces are also coming together. So that's another complexity that's...
Yeah. I can't think of another tool that does this, that is a content editor and a page building experience, which for me is like the exciting thing about the project, is that you can, there are people with solutions. You have a lot of solutions to this stuff. So if that could be, if you can thread the needle on that stuff, I think it's an incredible, you have this tool that you can use for building websites and creating content. I think that's an incredible ambition for the project to have. If it can be done. That's my view anyway. Right, so we've got some more questions. Mark Moran, hi Mark. Any plans to bring in some specific custom blocks into the system to do things that core blocks can't? ACF non-pro dynamic integration, for example. Well, hopefully we'll have that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, hopefully that's the cool thing about building a product that is squarely focused on core at this point, is that we get more and more over time. Like, we're going to get that kind of custom data.
Yeah.
And then with that, once that lands in core, I can ship some cool things like a portfolio collection that automatically ties in and gets your custom data and helps you create unique things out of the box. But in terms of like third-party plugins, I'm very hesitant to go down that road because, again, I've lived that experience, and you end up just burning time there. And I'd rather be the person, the part of the solution that is giving people a huge head start with design. And if there's like obvious flaws, obviously we'll help fix those things. But I would rather be responsible for that and in delivering value there than trying to, troubleshoot all these little plugins or big plugins in those ecosystems.
Cool. Right, let's go to Bob. I might try and pronounce your surname, Bob. No, I'm not going to. Muiffelman. Sorry, Bob, if I've murdered your surname. Are there potential issues where updates to WP Core or the theme could break layouts? Good question.
I don't think so, because probably just in the same way that traditionally it could be the case, because we're using all core blocks to build these layouts. Unless there was some really big bug in terms of a layout issue in core or something like that, they should hold up. And Ollie's been out there for several months and several thousand users. We've not had anything like that. So yeah, and also we just keep a close eye on what's happening in core. I'm using bleeding edge and testing on that. So hopefully that doesn't hit you.
Thank you, Bob. Derek. Hi, Derek. Question. Many people will say add Ollie WP features directly to core, especially the onboarding wizard. What could be done in core without sacrificing the Ollie Pro business opportunity? Good question.
What could be done in core? If core did a onboarding, I would happily delete mine in an instant.
Yeah.
Gone. Don't care. I would love for them to do that so that could reach everyone and we could all have a standard to build upon, not only themes, but plugins. In the same way that I hope we can get to a more standard settings pages and notifications interface, in kind of the same way that Shopify does that. I love the extensibility of WordPress, but sometimes it just creates the worst experience for people because people they don't have the design chops, or they prioritize revenue over experience, and it kind of turns sour. So I think our value right now is being able to produce designs quickly and stay on top of these things and figure out valuable ways that they tie into core. And not necessarily creating features that might compete in core. I'd rather just wait
which is kind of where this all began with themes. They were design.
Yeah.
They were designs rather than feature led, and that's one of the reasons I love block themes. We're getting back to that model. Right. Next question, Chris Begley. Thanks, Chris. Can you tease any upcoming pro features or new patterns that will be coming soon? Good question.
Yep. So at the top, when I was showing you the site wizard, that is going to be a place we refocus, because I think there's a lot more to be done there in terms of getting up and running faster, or not only that, being able to help developers put together a theme that they can download quickly using all the assets that we have. Maybe you pick the startup collection and I want the creator styles with it and I want this, and hit export and you get that kind of thing. And then just more professional patterns. I see, what are they called? Like prototype patterns, just really simple ones. Some people want those. Some people want more niche driven ones. Bolder styles is what I've heard. Cooler, darker themes, all that stuff. So a lot of that stuff. And maybe some pro blocks. We have already built a few. I think we're just kind of hesitant to release those and what that means, and changes the model and everything. But we do have some really cool ones that exemplify what I think we should be building towards with the block editor, and using JavaScript interfaces to create really cool solutions to solve long-standing WordPress problems. So that's all I'll tease about that. But
I think you need to give us a bit more about that.
Well, I'll just tell you. I'll tell you one of them is that this is such a silly little thing, and this was like scratching my own itch. But we've built a really cool interface for automatically designing a Twitter, Facebook, open graph card, and it pulls in dynamically stuff from the post, and it gives you a really cool interface that you can easily click, click, click. It can even do it automatically if you want, and it uses a really cool interface, which is built in JavaScript, that feels like WordPress. It feels like it actually belongs to WordPress. But you can see how that kind of feature, that's not really in our model right now.
Yeah.
That kind of becomes like, well, now you're a suite of blocks and other things. So, but I will say, if we do things, it will be to the same kind of caliber of quality that you're seeing with Ollie Pro.
Interesting. Malcolm Ferralti. I'm sorry if I'm getting all your names pronunciations wrong. Do you feel any limitations with the core query loop block and the expression of content using Ollie?
I don't, because my job as the creator of the theme and the patterns is pretty simple in terms of the query block. I'm creating a template for blog posts and all that stuff. I don't have custom post types that I'm having to worry about.
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't have a magazine layout that might have 5 posts here, 1 here, 10 down here from different categories. That might even be a reason I don't do something like that, at least until maybe it gets a little smarter.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that use I don't remember what it's called. It's like advanced query loop block. It's
Yep.
Brian Welcher, I think, makes it.
Yep.
It's out there. It's great. And you can do all kinds of extra stuff with that. And I imagine over time that gets smarter too.
Cool. Right, we're going to rush through these questions because we're running out of time. Brian Cord says, any other collections planned than the 3? I think the answer is yes, but do you want to have you got any specific stuff you're thinking about on that?
I'm not answering Brian's question next. No, just kidding. Yeah, so we have some more. I have a portfolio one in the works, and then wireframes is one that's interesting.
I was going to ask you about wireframe. So you do have a wireframe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, this is cool. So Imran says, any plans to add option where we can define variables like spacing instead of what Ollie offers out the box?
Well, you could just do that on the site level. You can change with global styles. If I'm understanding that correctly, you could just change the value in global styles and get whatever you want. Or you could presumably, I guess, do that in a child theme as well. I don't know of any. I don't think we would do that in the current interface we have. I think that would need to be solved one layer under at the WordPress, like the base theme level.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. Great. Okay, that's just another question. Thank you for saying that, though. Right, Max says, this is a good question. I installed Gutenberg as a plugin. Good idea or not with Ollie? Great question.
I honestly turn on Gutenberg for testing features and exploring things and get an idea of what's coming. And there was a point where I might have had it live regularly, but I turned it off because, developing all these patterns over the course of months, I would get into building something and I'd be like, this thing is really acting funny and I just don't know why. And I just really scratch my head and I'm in theme JSON and I'm just changing things and changing things. And then it turns out I turn off the Gutenberg plugin and then it's fine. And I was like, oh, Jesus. So I don't develop with it on for that reason. Not actively. I will turn it on to make sure everything is, maybe jiving well with what's coming. But I would not use it in production for sure myself. And I don't use it when I'm making things in case it's introducing style issues, etc.
Yeah. Mark Moran has a good question. Greedy question. Any plans for a Black Friday, Cyber Monday deal in the fall, or maybe a special deal when you pass 100,000 sales for us cheapskates? Pun intended. Very good.
Yeah, good question. Good pun. Probably we'll do a Black Friday thing. I honestly haven't thought about it. And I would say I'm also, again, coming from somebody who's run a few WordPress businesses, I know a ton gets generated there. I'm also at the same time kind of deal adverse in a way, at least in I'm not a perpetual deal person, but I think one a year is a really good way of helping folks buy in at a price that is, they can fit on. And I think that'll probably happen. Yeah. I'll have to consult with Patrick. He knows a lot more about that stuff than I do.
Well, I'm planning a live Black Friday special this year, which is going to be like a QVC shopping channel. So,
oh my God, I'm in. Are you going to sell some samurai swords?
It's going to be amazing. So yeah, there'll be some Ollie stuff.
Awesome, we'll do it.
Okay, right. Let's rush through these. So Malcolm says, "What do you think of the interactive API, and what functionality will be built into theme function blocks?"
I think it's awesome. I think people should start building some really cool shit with it. And I think whatever we build can already be plugged into that because it'll be just core stuff. So you can build whatever you want with it. And imagine the cool interfaces that you can build. And you don't even have to build the interface because Mike and Patrick already built it for you. Just add it to the page, you swap out the fields, and all of a sudden you have something awesome. Add a little JavaScript, and you got yourself a movie review site or whatever you want.
Yeah, rock and roll. Okay, so that's Max says, oh, that's an internal question. Let's go through these. Andy 1000, that's a great name. Could you still create a website from scratch with Gutenberg, even using a paid theme? Not quite sure I understand that.
I don't know if I know, but Ollie's free, and it's tied into the Gutenberg editor, and you can build it with that. So,
yeah, fantastic. Thank you. I think that's probably sales. Yeah, we're going to do a big Black Friday thing this year on the channel, live and interactive, QVC style.
I can't wait. I want that invite.
Yeah, no, you can come on for. We'll like have like 10 licenses that go, people on phones in the background, that whole thing.
Yes, that's excellent.
Cool. Thank you so much. If you thank you, Mike, for your time. That was fantastic. And I encourage you to go and check out Ollie. I've been diving into it. I'm going to do some more videos on it. I absolutely love it because I love Mike as a designer, and this stuff is handcrafted. I mean, it's not rushed out, and it's poured over with blood, sweat, and tears. So I encourage you to go and have a look. If you enjoyed this video, if you can hit the like button now, that'd be great as well, because it just helps spread the word around the internet. Mike, do you have any final words for people?
Yeah, if you have more questions, feel free to find us. Find me at Mike McAlister on Twitter/X, or go to olliewp.com, grab Pro, ask me questions there, or show up at my front step and I'll make you a coffee and we'll talk about it.
Cool. And we're both going to be in Portland, Oregon.
That's right.
In September, doing some cool stuff.
Ask me in person.
Talk about you as well. But thank you, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, folks. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.